Hey everyone, welcome to Serie Fantasy with another bonus video here. Thought I'd do an updated video on chip strategy. Towards the start of the season, we had one that was introducing the chips, what they meant, and what best to use them. As season goes on, things change, and so I'm going to let you know what I think would be the best way to go about using these chips, assuming that you still have them. If you like videos like this, please like and subscribe to the channel. That would really help me out. And let me know what other kind of videos you'd like other than our normal preview and review videos. Without further ado, we'll get into it. Remember, our three chips are shuffles, all in, which is like the bench boost from the Premier League game, and double captain. The reason that I have the red X on the shuffle is probably a lot of people have already used a shuffle at this point, if not both of them. If not, you got an extra bullet in your arsenal, but most likely people are down to one or no shuffles left. And so we're going to go into the shuffle right away. So generally, definitely in the Premier League game, you have one shuffle chip for the first half, which is called a wild card, and one for the second half of the season. In Serie A fantasy, you can use both at any time. So you could have already used both in the first half of the season. You could have not used any and still have two at your disposal. Or you could be like me and have already used one. I needed to use one early on. My team was in trouble, and so I had to use one to recover. If you do still have both, you can be a little more aggressive and use it during a week that maybe you don't really need to, or maybe just to fix a few holes rather than a whole team of holes. But kind of I'm going to go based off of you've already probably used one. And one thing you want to try to avoid while games are in question right now, what I mean by that is a lot of games are potentially getting postponed or canceled, stuff like that. So if you can, while that's going on, you might bring in a bunch of players and then that team might not play at all, or a player from that team might get COVID and you thought that he was going to be playing in your team the rest of the way. So if you need to fix big holes right now, try to just use one or two paid transfers. Anything other than that, that's going to be a -8 hit, and that will give you up to 3 transfers. If you need to do more than that, you're probably going to look at using your shuffle chip. Taking more than a -8 is a lot for a single game week because those players need to get those points back for you at the end of the day as well, or else it's not really worth it. Another good time to use it is using the all-in chip. What the all-in chip does, and we'll get into it again, is even the players on your bench score points. So you can use a shuffle chip to ensure that you have not only a good playing 11, but also players on the bench that will be playing as well. So a lot of times people won't have a backup keeper that plays in order to save money. So you could use the shuffle chip to get 2 goalies that play in order to use the all-in chip. And also, as we know, we have had some postponed games already, which will be rescheduled. So you can wildcard once we know what those the rescheduled dates are into a week where either there's not that many teams playing and you need to change up your team in order to have a decent number of players playing, or to get a bunch of players that are going to be having a double game week. If you want to know strategy about approaching that, or don't know what a blank or double game week is, go back and check out one of my other videos that had strategy all about blank and double game weeks. The all-in chip. So like I said, the all-in chip is the same thing as a bench boost in the Premier League one, where your entire bench is going to score a lot of points as well. And there's a couple different things we can be looking at here. First, check the fixtures. There's a couple weeks. I just kind of went through them all, and I am targeting weeks right now that a lot of the players that I'm going to have a lot of teams that I'm going to have a lot of players from. So we're looking at teams like Atalanta, Juventus, Napoli, Milan, either of the Milans, Fiorentina, maybe Sassuolo lately as well. They're going to have easier fixtures, and those teams aren't going to be playing each other. And so as you can see here in game week 29, we have Atalanta's facing Genoa, Fiorentina's facing Bologna, Napoli's facing Hellas Verona, Lazio's facing Venezia, Milan's facing Empoli, Juve's facing Sampdoria, Inter is facing Torino, and Roma is facing Udinese. That's a week that would be good to target using the all-in chip, just because a lot of the players that you have in your team aren't going to be conflicting and facing each other, and especially your attacking players are going to have a good chance for turns facing an easier defense, as well as a less likely chance of getting scored on for your defenders and goalkeepers. So that is a time that I could target playing an all-in chip, and a similar scenario happens in game week 36. Aside from the Fiorentina Roma game, that might be tough. All of the other fixtures are kind of in the favor of not big teams conflicting. I personally am somewhat considering using it next week. I'm shooting this video in the middle of the Juve Roma game. In fact, Juve just got scored on, which kind of sucks. And at first I thought, okay, I'm definitely not going to use it because Quadrado just got a yellow, but that yellow, the suspension is going to be served in the Supercopa, so that's okay. But ideally, all my players are going to be off suspensions and healthy next week. And that could avoid me having to, in my wild card, transfer in a playing goalie or use one of my transfers to get a playing goalie to be ready for an all-in chip. So I am looking to potentially use it next week and use my transfer on getting a playing goalie in, just so it's done. I don't have to worry about the all-in chip anymore. And the fixtures next week are relatively decent. So next week is one, if you're set up well for it. If not, I'd say target using it in game week 29 or 36, and potentially use your shuffle chip, therefore, in 28 or 35. I'd probably say in 28 more so then that shuffle gets more use out of just the weeks 36, 37, and 38. So I'd say right now I'm targeting game week 29 as my all-in chip date. All right, another good time to use it. So like I'm saying, using a wild card is good time to use it. So right after you use the wild card to set up all of your players. Also during a double game week as well. If it's a big double game week, you can get up to technically 30 different games that are going to be scoring you points. If you have 15 players that all have a double game week that week, that is a big chance for a lot of points as well. And double captaincy. So we didn't know this at the start of the season. The last time the video was, the schedule is still as set. There's no missed games, but we have 5 games that have now been canceled or postponed, I should say. 2 games for Salernitana, 2 games for Udinese, a game for Venezia, Atalanta, Torino, Fiorentina, Bologna, and Inter Milan. Okay, and this is a great opportunity to use a double captainship. So not only are you going to have 2 players scoring double the amount of points, but if both of those captains that you have are on a double game week, then that's going to be 4 games you're going to be getting double points for. So this is what I'm going to be targeting. I'm going to be looking ahead to the fixtures, seeing when they're scheduled for. And based on the teams we have here, you could have something like on a double game week, Vlahovic and potentially Dzeko or someone like that scoring double the points for 2 matches, because those are players that do likely start for their teams, or Muriel or something like that. Oftentimes, a bunch of reschedules are going to happen within the same week, I'd say. And we know that Salernitana and Udinese, they're going to have 2 rescheduled. Triple game weeks are kind of unlikely, but it is possible. But you might have 2 shots there where having a Salernitana or an Udinese player might be beneficial. But I don't see any other time I'm going to be using my double captainship aside from a double game week for some of these players. Even if one of your captains is going to be on a double game week and the other is going to be on a single, that's okay too. But I'd like 4 games getting scored with double points. And don't make it a punt, meaning don't make it just a random player that you hope luckily gets a good score. I'd recommend using it on well-known players, like I said, Vlahovic, Muriel, Dzeko, Lautaro Martinez. Pasalic is kind of meh. He's been doing okay, a little more risky. But those players listed there are probably like the 4 that I'd be using it on once these double game weeks get announced. And lastly, any support is appreciated. Please subscribe to the channel. I've been using Twitter a lot more recently, so at @fantasy_Serie, follow that. Haven't been using the Instagram as much, but if I got a decent following on it, I'd definitely start using it more again. So please, main thing is subscribe, like, and follow on the Twitter account, and let me know if there's any other videos like this that you'd want to see. Take care and have a good day.